What's up, everyone? Alex Rossman here, and welcome to Rossman Radio, the social first podcast where founders and industry leaders stop pretending everything's amazing and they tell the real stories, the wins, the failures, the why did I even start this moments, all of it. Most importantly, we break down the marketing strategies that are actually working for them today, not the ones some guru made up in a hotel conference room in 2016. So if you want real-world growth strategies told by the ones who have scaled multi-million-dollar brands, just listen. Welcome back to Rossman Radio, where we talk to founders, operators, and marketers who are building brands that actually matter. I'm Rob Nichols, the Director of Strategy at Rossman, and today we're diving into a space that everyone claims to understand, but very few actually do, the luxury e-commerce and dropshipping economy behind it. Our guest today is someone who's been pushing that world forward for a long time. He's the founder and CEO of Brands Gateway, one of the largest luxury fashion marketplaces and B2B dropshipping platforms in the world. If you ever wondered how luxury products get sourced, authenticated, shipped, and scaled across thousands of online stores, Michael Tekin is the guy behind that engine. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Rob. Excited to be part of your podcast.
Thanks for joining us. So let's start at the beginning. Brands Gateway is not the typical e-commerce site. It's half sort of luxury marketplace, half infrastructure platform. For people who are hearing about you for the first time, how do you explain what Brands Gateway actually does?
Okay. To simplify it, is that we created a platform or marketplace, as you say, for businesses to source luxury and premium fashion brands. So any type of business, whether you are a retailer or having a brick and mortar store or e-commerce business, or if you're doing live selling, we provide the inventory for your business at competitive wholesale prices. So that's the core, what we offer or what we do. And then we work with over 400 brands, anything from premium like Calvin Klein all the way to luxury, that is Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, Prada, and over 400 others.
Nice. So, I mean, you identified a real pain point there. Luxury suppliers or drop shipping suppliers have no streamlined way to connect with those luxury suppliers to connect that inventory at scale. When you first launched, what were the early hurdles that you had to solve, do you think? Was it sourcing the inventory? Was it building the trust? Was it the tech infrastructure? What was it, do you think?
You actually hit the nail on everything, to be honest. So we were tackling multiple fires, to say, in the same time. So one of the important aspects is obviously the trust that we do sell authentic products. That's one thing. And the way we tackle that is either working directly with distributors, suppliers, or the brands itself. And then we were working on, how do we automate this so that it's scalable in a sense? And that's why we invested quite a lot of capital in the tech side of things. So building our own Shopify plugin, WooCommerce, Wix, and so forth, and launching our REST API. But then part of it was also not taking on too many drop shippers as well, because we are in a category of luxury brands, and nothing against drop shipping from products such as from China. But the goal isn't to have 10,000 drop shippers selling the same Gucci wallet. Our belief is quality over quantity, in a sense. So that was another hurdle, is to be able to filter out the ones that have A, experience, or B, that is motivated to really build a successful business and that hasn't seen some online course online, quick money schemes, because it is not quick. It does take time. So it was several hurdles there that we were trying to tackle.
I can imagine. And I mean, just on the agency side, seeing the explosion of drop shippers, over the last, 5 years has been something else. Like we used to get requests for building people's websites out. And now we're getting requests for how do I adapt my Shopify site for TikTok Shop? Or how do I adapt my existing Shopify or WooCommerce site, to start that the flow of incoming business. I do think a lot of people have the idea that well, I'll just kind of plug and play and then find my inventory where I find it. But that finding that inventory is the really difficult part. I think that one of the things that I was interested in with you guys is that you have specialized more in that luxury category. What made you decide to focus more on luxury products above, the traditional, kind of sourced again, like sourced in China versus, what you focus on right now?
Yeah, so that decision was made from, there were multiple factors to that decision. One is we wanted to create a business where we actually can, with pride, say that, hey, you'll be able to run a profitable business and you don't need to have hundreds of orders a day, where we can be proud of the quality of the products that we ship out to your customers. And then we really target or niched it down to fashion. And then we thought, okay, should it be fast fashion? Should it be emerging fashion? Should it be luxury fashion? And that is where we realized, okay, there's not a lot of players out there, or barely any. So that's the main reason why we tackled it. We understood that we're in a very niche market. But if we ask any of your listeners, hey, what kind of e-commerce business would you rather run? Is it something fast fashion related, or would you rather sell inventory from brands that are recognizable on a global scale? Sure, you might need to spend a little bit more from a customer acquisition cost, but the order value and the profits are actually 50 times higher. You don't need to have 50 orders a day to have a good living running a business. So it had multiple factors there, but it was mainly price point, quality, and the market size.
Yeah, completely understand. And it kind of inadvertently solves that reputation problem that a lot of drop shipping products tend to have, is like being of a cheaper quality or something that's, we've seen the firsthand the Temu-ization of the online communities.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the type of business what kind of business do you want to run, really? There's nothing wrong with selling fast products it comes with a price point, poor quality, but it's a cheap product. But then you have to deal with the hurdles of customer service, of returns, and yada yada. So it has its pros and cons with everything.
Now you ought to shift gears a little bit. One of the interesting things about your model and your site is that you do have like two very different kind of customer groups. You sell directly to end consumers, I imagine at a smaller percentage of the business, but you also power a big portion of the global luxury dropshipping space through your platform. How do you balance those two sides of the business?
Well, to correct it, we don't actually sell to end consumers at all. We don't do any B2C
whatsoever.
Oh,
I got you. Yeah, that's
because we don't want to compete against our own dropshippers, obviously. So the logistic part of it is B2B2C, because we're in a partnership with a dropshipper, but the logistics behind it would be sending the item straight to the end consumer, where the dropshipper actually never sees the product itself. But yeah, Brands Gateway doesn't do anything B2C related. What we do is drop shipping, and then we sell to multi-brand outlet stores, physical locations. And our target is small and medium-sized businesses, anywhere from 1 to 5, maybe 10 locations.
I got you.
And the third one is the live shopping.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about live shopping. I know that you've launched you have a space which we can see behind you, and some sort of a studio, or a space where people can come and record and live and sell products via live shopping. Tell me about how that came to be and how that's going.
I mean, we took inspiration on what's happening in Asia, pretty much, because live shopping has been a massive thing there for years, and now it's starting to come into Eastern Europe and North America more and more. If you follow the tech news or startup news, live shopping apps are exploding at the moment. So we decided, okay, how can we introduce the drop shipping model but for live shopping? So we decided, like, okay, let's create a space where anyone can come and visit after a vetting process, obviously. So they can come to our studios. We have 2 locations, and we set everything up with the inventory. They just literally go live, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok, or through their own Shopify store, and they do the selling, and then afterwards we just handle the logistics. But it's white labeled, so it's always under their own brand.
Nice. So you've got your own you've got your live shopping studio over there.
Exactly.
Well,
but it is a vetting process. We don't accept anyone here either. So it's a small, but if you have that opportunity, you'll have great success in it.
Completely. Yeah. I mean, we've been following, as an agency, we follow the Asian model and the Chinese sort of model of live shopping and everything being done in one app. And I know that American companies been trying to replicate that for a while. The first time we've actually seen it to where it works, or that, works in quotation marks, but where it works, has been on TikTok, which, not coincidentally was a Chinese company, continues for now. But it's, Meta really tried it. We tried Commerce Manager. We have catalog ads that I guess can work for, if you want to consider that some, social shopping. But for the most part, that category has been completely excluded from the US. It's been like QR codes, which didn't take off in the US until the pandemic, but were widely used throughout the rest of the world. Talk to me a little bit about your on the marketing side. You mentioned when we talked briefly that you haven't had to do a lot of traditional marketing to find potential partners or drop shippers to use your service. Tell me a little bit, though, how you got started with finding those first few. What do you do now, and what has worked for you to find the right mix? Is it SEO? Is it working, meeting the right partners, just via traditional routes? How do you find those drop shippers?
I mean, in the beginning, in the very, very early stage, we were just paying paying to be on the top page of listicles or online directories that had the dropshipping as a supplier tab. But then we shifted focus quite hard on the SEO aspects of things. So we wrote quite a lot of articles and tried to optimize them for Google. Now, am I an expert in that? No, but I have an amazing team that does that for us. But our focus was purely organic, and the reason behind it is, like I said, that we didn't want to have the massive amount of people just joining our platform. So we thought our thought process was that, hey, if you're searching specifically for drop shipping luxury suppliers, you're already interested in that. So if you do discover us, then you create the account, and then there's a small funnel around it. You have to answer a few questions and so on. But now we have noticed that traditional SEO is slowly in decline. Now we had to shift focus on being optimized for answers for questions being asked in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and so forth. So now we notice that around 30% of our traffic is coming through ChatGPT. So then we had to adjust our article writing where it's more answering a question versus writing a listicle. Because before it was top 10 fashion suppliers in France or Europe. And they will try to rank for certain keywords there. SEO is still very important, don't get me wrong. But now it's more about answering a question and making sure that your website is crawled through these AI tools, pretty much. And then focusing on creating content. 2 weeks ago, we launched our first YouTube channel, pretty much. So creating content, making sure that it's optimized for that. But we haven't done traditional paid advertising yet. We tried it a few times with a few €100, but we felt that the leads were too unserious. They were way in the beginning of the funnel. They were asking questions like, what is Shopify?
Yeah.
Then we knew that, okay, maybe these are not our client, our partners that we're looking for. So that's why we kept a little bit more traditional focus on organic traffic, focusing on demo calls, vetting them, saying that, hey, sometimes we tell them like, hey, you're not ready for this. You should take an online course on Udemy, or YouTube has great courses or whatever. Find a co-founder that knows what to do and so forth.
Yeah, you touched on something really important that we've talked about a lot on this show, and that's that GEO piece, which everyone is, I think, rightfully focused on right now. AI is one of those things where, we've seen trends and fads come and go. We are no longer sitting around talking about the metaverse or, NFTs or something like that. But when AI was starting to, to become a really, more prominent investment for all of these companies, we took a look and immediately realized that this is going to change things. So a lot of our clients and even us, we've seen the curve for the amount of traffic coming in from LLMs is not a curve at all. It's a straight line going up that
Yep.
continues to go up month over month over month. I mean, you mentioned 30% of that traffic, which is crazy. But I think you touched on something really important, which is to anyone who wants to really dig into the difference between traditional SEO and GEO. The principles are all similar. It's just they're cutting out the middleman. Instead of giving you a list of 8 pages, or 8 to 10 pages on page one of Google that could have your answer, they're giving you the direct answer. And that's why sites like yours and all of ours have to do a better job of actually answering
Exactly.
those prompts that are being asked.
Because it's very dangerous as a business founder, especially for a startup. If you do not focus on being recommended by these tools, you're invisible. Where in Google, sure, you might have been in the bottom of the page, but there still was potential traffic. Even on the second page, you still had 2% of potential traffic. 98% was always on the first page. But if you're not recommended, you're completely invisible. So for anyone starting a business, that's, I would say, one of the core attention points they need to focus on in that. So I can't agree with you more.
Yeah, completely. You're right. It's more all or nothing for sure. And if you don't work with an agency, or if you don't have an internal tool that I know a lot of are coming up right now, the best, if you want to test for why you're not a fun test, hopefully maybe not as fun. If you ever don't show up for a prompt, ask why you didn't show up for it.
There are a lot of cheat codes there. I'm still learning how to do prompt engineering. It is, and then I just found out the other week that inside ChatGPT settings, you can adjust the way ChatGPT should communicate with you. So because right now the traditional way of prompting is that it just agrees with everything you're saying. It doesn't challenge your beliefs. But inside the settings, you can actually write how it should communicate with you. That's something that I completely found out last week. And my responses are now completely different. Completely and utterly different. I'm getting a lot more informative information around that. But then it depends on the type of business. So for example, if one of our drop shippers would be starting a luxury outlets e-commerce store, maybe ChatGPT isn't that crucial. It would be more for the traditional paid advertising, organic social media, and so forth. So it really does depend on the industry that you're in.
Completely. Switching gears for a second, do you have probably some visibility on, based on what you can see with your drop shippers, like, trends and what's being ordered, what's being coming, what inventory is being supplied to them. Are you seeing any interesting trends in terms of like consumer behavior within the luxury space? Are you seeing any shifts in that industry in terms of demand for certain products?
One thing that is recession proof is actually the luxury space. So we have no matter where the economy was, we always seen a steady demand for the luxury space. But what I've noticed is the phrase "if you know, you know." So it's more about not having selling a brand that has this massive logo anymore. So for example, the latest road collection from Balenciaga bags, it doesn't show Balenciaga at all. Or Loewe handbags, it doesn't scream the brand. But if you know, you know. And that's where we have seen both the brands focusing more on invincible branding in a way. So, but in a whole, we see definitely that the luxury category is outperforming the premium brands. So I'm talking about Kevin Klein versus, like Dolce & Gabbana. So there's a higher demand for that. Um, but a lot of it is seasonal. So right now we're not selling any swim shorts, for example. A lot of it is seasonal. But yeah, handbags are always all season sellers, especially during the holiday season. A lot of our drop shippers are focusing on running campaigns that are gift focused.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is the crunch time for that. So when you look at what's next for you guys, what are you prioritizing in the next 6 to 12 months? Where's your focus going to be when it comes to Brands Gateway?
We're going to be focusing on the pre-loved selection or the vintage category. So meaning that selling pre-owned Chanel bags, Louis Vuitton, Hermes bags, and accessories. That's a multi-billion-dollar industry there, and no one is offering that as a drop shipping solution at the moment. It's only wholesale and auctions, and that's it. So that's one category that we actually launched today. So I'm super excited for that. But we're expanding it in the next 3 to 6 months. And then the live shopping is also a heavy investment that we're going to be focusing on continuing into 2026. And then the third part would be optimizing the AI tools that we have. So we're focusing on images and video content using AI. So I would say those are the three main categories that we're focusing on.
Yeah, I know, and I know firsthand pre-owned luxury is a huge market. We've worked with some brands that are part of speaking of TikTok Shop, but I know TikTok Shop has a pre-owned luxury category, and there's a few, I don't know if you power any of those shops, but there's a few, pretty big accounts. Lux Collective, I think, is one of those that sells a lot of the pre-owned category right on Shop. One of the things that we've seen is, and I think that's the next step, is right now the fast fashion slash kind of more like impulse buy trinkets that are being bought on platforms like TikTok Shop and through those catalog ads on Meta are usually of a more, yeah, it makes sense, but a lower price point, which is something that you can impulse buy while you're scrolling at night. Yeah. But we've seen the shifts. We've seen things that are of much higher price points being sold on those platforms in a way that actually converts versus it's just an awareness builder. I think that's really interesting for the future of social shopping, and you've even moved yourself into the live shopping category. Is that something?
Yeah, it's all about being able to be price competitive, because a lot of all our partners, whether you're a drop shipping, live seller, or a retailer, you don't sell the products at full retail price. It's an outlet, so you're selling at a higher discounted rate, and it's about the massive amount of inventory. We at any given point there's about 1.9 million pieces in our platform, 45,000 SKUs. So you're able to literally compete against the biggest online retailers in the world due to the fact of our logistical operations and pretty much our sourcing capabilities. And then with the live shopping, I mean, we have a couple in a husband and wife in Germany that do TikTok like insane, and they sell for around 10,000 euros worth of Guess handbags, just purely the brand Guess of handbags and phone covers. It's insane what they're able to do on TikTok Live. We have Romanian retailers that are selling Dolce & Gabbana like it's water. It's pretty crazy what TikTok has been able to achieve for the live shopping.
It is, yeah. So I wanted to close out by asking this. A lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs and early stage e-commerce owners. Like you said, a lot of them, dream about launching a store and scaling it rapidly. Based on everything that you've seen, what separates the stores that thrive on using platforms like yours, or using, you guys, from the ones that stall out? Have you noticed, what do you think the biggest difference maker is?
Oh, good question. I'm trying to nail it down to one thing. Is that so a lot of people are very hesitant on starting their own business. They don't dare taking the leap, or they're perfectionists. They want to launch their e-commerce site when it's 100% perfect. I would say launch it at 70% and adjust it based on the user data that you're collecting, pretty much. So just not being afraid of failure, just going at it and then taking it as it comes, same way as we did it here on Brands Gateway. That's number one. Number two is either, especially in the e-commerce field, is that you need to be self-educated. You need to know a little bit of everything. And having that motivation of continuing to learn and update yourself is what sets you apart, and thinking outside the box. I mean, I can tell you endless amount of examples where one of our drop shippers created a whole new business model around e-commerce. Like, for example, we have a drop shipper that created a private membership site where they're selling the products extremely cheap, but their revenue model is selling memberships instead. So thinking outside the box is also very, very crucial in this space anyway. How do you set yourself apart from everyone else? And if you're not good at marketing, find a co-founder. I'm not an expert in marketing, but I have a co-founder that is extremely good at it. So you don't need to own 100% of your company. It's totally fine if you own 50% or 30%, whatever. So that's like very over the top recommendations.
I think that's great advice. I think if I'd had to, for everyone looking to get into or start their own Shopify store, their own e-commerce business, I think product really does matter, and I think that's where Brands Gateway and then this type of company can really help out brands trying to get started. But I also think having the patience to put in the groundwork from the beginning. So you guys did a lot of good work with SEO to get you started. Yeah. I think that you've got and you found a really specific niche. But I think that a lot of people want to get started and don't have the patience to build that audience right away. And they want results and purchases flowing in, just like turning on a faucet. But I think that finding that audience and feeding that top of the funnel is
I mean, I always say the same. Whether you're running an e-commerce store or a falafel stand, you need to find customers. You know, so it's that simple. Or you with our inventory that we supply to our dropshippers, it's very easy to sell on marketplaces as well. So we have quite a few people selling on eBay, for example, or Poshmark in the US, or Amazon and so forth. So for anyone, for whether it's with our inventory or someone else's inventory, is that if you don't want to go down the traditional e-commerce route, Shopify, then find a good marketplace that you can sell on. And one big recommendation that I always suggest is that you don't need to go towards the well-known ones like eBay, even though they have a lot of traffic. Do your research and partner up with marketplaces that are startups that recently received funding. And that way, if you partner up with them, you will say like, hey, here's my inventory. I'm coming with 40,000 SKUs. The thing is that this startup will put a lot of their marketing budget onto your inventory because they need product listings. So that's a little hidden gem that I recommend our dropshippers to really research. Is like, hey, you don't have to go for eBay and Amazon. Partner up with a startup, with a marketplace that maybe got $1 million or 5 or 10 million investment. They're going to spend 20% of that promoting your inventory. So that's also a little tip for anyone listening.
That's a great tip. Using them as a springboard, I think, would be a great idea to give you a little bit of a jump start. Yeah. Michael, this has been great. I think that Brands Gateway sits in one of the most interesting intersections in e-commerce, and it's something that I think powers a lot of the most popular brands or dropshipping brands online that people have no idea about. So I think you've kind of helped us learn more about that area that most people don't know about. I appreciate you willing to talk with us. For listeners who want to learn more, check out brandsgateway.com. Whether you're a consumer, interested in learning more about the business, or a retailer looking for a reliable dropshipping supplier partner, the platform's worth exploring. Michael, thanks again.
Thank you, Rob. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully I gave some value to your listeners.